Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Health Spotlight. Joining me today is Vanisha Breault, who is founder and CEO of the Terminator Foundation. Thanks for joining us today, Vanisha.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Mario. It's
I
good to
want
be
to talk.
here.
Great. I want to talk to you first of all about a book that you've got, your latest book. It's called Ordinary Courage. Tell me what that book's about, and we'll go from there.
Well, the book is a memoir. It's actually going to be a two-part series, and so the book is part one, and then book number two will be coming out in the fall of 2022. And so it's my journey through domestic violence, family violence, going through that, the system, sort of the fallout of my marriage, the criminal charges, the court proceedings, stuff like that. Our families, my families, the kids and I, are eventually descent into poverty, and then just sort of coming out of that. So yeah, it's a little bit heavy, but there's some funny parts. So
Okay, why did you decide to write this book?
well, I guess honestly, because I had a lot of people in the very beginning. This is like years ago now, because the book actually took me about 4.5 years to write. And so, but I had people like a decade ago saying, you should write a story. You should write a story. Have you ever thought about writing a book? You should write a book. And so because I had started to share my story, and people were just saying, how impactful it was, and how this story needs to be told. It needs to be out there. And so it's important to me to shine a light on some of these issues. And just because I know that when I went through this, almost 15 years ago, there was no place to go. There were no supports. I had no one to talk to. And honestly, probably for almost the first 2 years of it happening, I never said a word to anyone. And there wasn't a support group. There wasn't really anything. We just kind of went through it very isolated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can you talk about sort of the repercussions of what happened to you, and the domino effect of your life and what happened to you, and what you ended up experiencing?
Well, I mean, the domino effect, that's exactly pretty much what happened. It did, like, looking back on it now, it was very much yeah, just a spiraling down. And because we were, like, when I was married, we were doing very well financially. We had a beautiful home in a beautiful part of the city. We were very successful. We were business owners, entrepreneurs. We didn't lack for anything. And part of the domino effect was, once all the disclosures came forward, and then as we started to move through the criminal proceedings, and then even from there, then once the criminal proceedings were all done, and I actually had the headspace to think about a divorce and stuff like that, it was from that was sort of like the marker in the sand, that once I filed for divorce, the kids and I were severed financially. And so then we literally just spiraled into poverty. And then the domino effect from there was just, we bounced around from home to home. I couldn't make ends meet, no matter how hard I worked. And I was working full time, and and then I started my drinking and to cope, and yeah, it was ugly.
So tell me, the circumstances, you talk a lot about in your life and in your mission, I guess, about addictions and mental health. Do you see that as a growing problem in today's society? And if so, why?
Absolutely. I think, we had, like, all of these issues were obviously, they were happening prior to COVID, domestic violence, suicide, depression, addiction, all of those issues were issues before COVID.
Yeah.
And they were dire issues prior to COVID. I know, especially because I've had, my finger on the pulse of, with addiction and mental health. And prior to COVID, that was an epidemic. That was a crisis.
Yeah.
The opioid and addiction crisis. And so really all COVID has, grossly enlarged these issues due to, just being isolated and things like that. So I think the fallout from COVID, we're going to be seeing the fallout in terms of these issues for years to come.
Yeah. Totally. What would be your advice to people who may be at a point right now in their life that they're struggling with either mental health issues or addiction issues? Well, I guess you could say they're both the same. They're both tied together, right? But what would be your advice to those people?
Reach out. And I know that I know firsthand that is easier said than done. But I also know too that it's also the first step in getting help, and even just feeling not as isolated. Just having some support, because truly, we're not alone in these issues, whether it's mental health, addiction, domestic violence, like whatever it is, we're not alone. But these issues are really make us feel like we are alone. And so by reaching out, it's sort of like the first real, it's the quickest way to kind of turn the light on, and just really see that you're not alone. Like, that's the biggest thing, is just knowing that we're not alone. Yeah.
Can you explain just a little bit about what the Terminator Foundation is and what it does?
Terminator Foundation has been around we're actually going into our 8th year with the foundation, and are going to be going into our 6th year with the program. But so Terminator Foundation, we work with all individuals, youth and young adults and adults that are currently struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. And we use the sport of triathlon to help strengthen their recovery. The way I look at it is it's our therapeutic model for addressing addiction and mental health. So we take it out in the pool, we take it out running, and we take it out biking. But so, yeah.
Okay, super then. And last question I had for you, Vanisha, is where can people, before I forget, the choice of the title for the book, Ordinary Courage.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and why that title?
So several years ago, I was reading one of Brene Brown's books, and it was The Gifts of Imperfection. And in that book, she was talking about, the definition of courage, and she was talking about wholehearted living and how to live wholeheartedly and how that takes courage. And, she broke down courage, and then she just talked about that basically, in today's world, a lot of times we think of courage in the realm of heroics, like it's a hero kind of a thing. And she was saying that really courage is just living you know, speaking our whole truth. And so it's just an ordinary, courage is ordinary. And then as soon as I read that, I knew that that was going to be the title of my book, Ordinary, because I thought, you know, I can have ordinary courage. If that's all I need to have is just ordinary courage, I can have that.
Okay, super. And last question, where can you find the book, or where can people find the book?
Right now, the book is it's only available, it's pre-sales only right now. And it can be found on my website, vanishabreel.com. And the book will be released on Amazon on December 7th.
Okay, super. Well, thanks very much, Vanisha, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mario. I
Right.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Super. That was Vanisha Breault, who is the founder and CEO of the Terminator Foundation. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Health Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.